"Eat it or leave it," the flight attendant whispered. It was untouched when we took it off the last flight. My 11-year-old daughter heard every word. I looked down at the tray Vanessa Pike had placed in front of me. The foil was wrinkled. The allergy label was missing. One corner of the seal had been peeled open and pressed back into place. Across the aisle, passengers were cutting into hot meals served on clean white plates. Mine was cold enough that condensation had formed beneath the foil. "Did you just say this came from the previous flight?" I asked. Vanessa glanced toward the aisle before bending closer. "It was never eaten. It was refrigerated. It's perfectly safe." Beside me, Mia stopped unwrapping her napkin. Her own tray remained closed and clearly marked sesame-free. I lifted one edge of the foil without touching the food. The chicken had dried around the edges. The rice had hardened into a pale block. Beneath the damaged seal, I could see the torn corner of an older flight label. "This isn't the meal assigned to seat 4A. It's the meal available to you. My daughter has a sesame allergy. We ordered 2 identical meals so we could safely share them." "She has her meal," Vanessa replied. "So there isn't an actual problem." "There is if you're serving food left over from another flight." Her expression tightened. 2 rows ahead, a man in a navy suit was cutting into a hot steak. Another passenger had just received salmon with warm bread. The cabin smelled of roasted garlic and fresh coffee. My tray smelled like a refrigerator. Vanessa looked at my faded backpack, plain gray shirt, and the boarding passes tucked beside Mia's science folder. "You used miles for these seats," she said quietly. "You should be grateful you were upgraded at all." Mia turned toward the window, but I saw the color rise in her face. For a second, I said nothing. Since becoming Mia's only parent, I had learned to avoid confrontations in front of her. Keeping my voice calm had become almost automatic. Vanessa seemed to mistake that for weakness. She leaned closer. "Don't make your daughter watch you turn a meal into a scene." That sentence nearly worked. We were flying to Boston for Mia's science competition. She was supposed to review her presentation and enjoy the first major trip we had taken together in years. I did not want her watching adults argue over airplane food. But this was no longer just about a bad meal. The seal had been broken. The allergy information was missing. And Vanessa had openly admitted the tray came from another flight. I took out my phone and photographed the foil, the damaged seal, and the remaining edge of the old label. Vanessa watched me. "You're not allowed to photograph the crew. I photographed the food you served me." I placed the phone beside my glass. "I'd like to speak with the lead attendant." The cabin did not become silent all at once. It happened in pieces. A fork paused. A glass stopped halfway to someone's mouth. The man across the aisle looked from my face to the cold tray. Vanessa straightened and changed her expression. Her smile returned now, wide enough for the passengers around us to see. "Of course," she said. "I'll get someone to address your complaint." She lifted the tray before I could stop her. "Please preserve it," I said. "Don't throw it away." Vanessa gave no answer. She turned toward the galley and disappeared behind the curtain. Mia caught my sleeve. Her eyes were fixed on the front of the cabin. "Dad," she whispered. "That's the tray I saw her take from the red cart." Vanessa disappeared behind the galley curtain with my tray. Mia kept watching the spot where she had gone. "What red cart?" I asked. "The one by the wall," she whispered. "It had a sign on it." She looked around before opening it. Before I could ask anything else, another attendant passed our row carrying 2 hot meals toward the front of the cabin. One of the trays had a white card tucked beside the bread plate. I caught only part of it. "For Whitaker." My name. The tray was placed in front of a younger man seated beside Graham Voss, the passenger in 2A. Graham had been greeted by name from the moment he boarded. Vanessa had thanked him for being one of Aurelia Air's most valued members, and had offered him champagne before the aircraft left the gate. The younger man beside him had boarded at the last minute. I remembered Vanessa checking her tablet when he arrived. "We weren't expecting another meal request," she had said. Graham had smiled as though the problem were already solved. "I'm sure you'll find something." Apparently she had. 3 years of saved miles had paid for our seats. After my wife Rachel died, travel became one of the many things I stopped thinking about. There were school lunches to pack, medical forms to sign, bills to manage, and mornings when Mia could not find one shoe, even though both had been beside the door the night before. I learned to build our lives around small systems. Keys in the blue bowl, medication in the upper cabinet, Science projects photographed before being carried to school. Miles saved instead of spent. This flight was the first time I had used them. Mia had qualified for the National Young Innovators Finals in Boston with a water filtration project she had spent 8 months building at our kitchen table. The first sketch had come from an old notebook Rachel once used to write down Mia's questions. Why does dirty water sometimes look clean? Mia had turned that question into a working model. I wanted the trip to feel important because it was important. I booked first class so she could sleep review her presentation and arrive without feeling exhausted. Because of her sesame allergy, I had called the airline twice and requested 2 identical allergen-safe meals. One for her, one for me. If either label looked wrong, we could compare them. If one meal was delayed, we could share the other. That had been the plan. Now Mia's meal was correctly labeled while mine had been given to a stranger. I looked toward row 2 again. The younger man had already opened the tray. Steam rose from the chicken and rice. Beside the plate was the same sesame-free card that appeared on Mia's meal. He had no idea it belonged to me. This was not his fault. That mattered. I did not want the story Vanessa later told to become one about an angry passenger demanding food back from someone else's table. The galley curtain shifted. For a moment I could see inside. Vanessa stood beside a red service cart pushed against the wall. Across its front was a white label printed in large black letters. Return items do not reserve. She opened the cart, looked over her shoulder and reached inside. Then she noticed me watching. The curtain snapped closed. The curtain stayed closed for several seconds. When Vanessa came back, she was no longer carrying my tray. Her hands were empty and her expression had reset into the polished calm she had used when welcoming Graham Voss aboard. "The lead attendant will speak with you when she's available," she said. "What happened to the meal?" "It was removed. I asked that it be preserved. You asked to speak with the supervisor. I also asked where the food came from." Her smile thinned. "It came from our catering supply." "That isn't what you told me." Mia sat very still beside me. I hated that she was listening, but I hated even more that Vanessa had already tried to use my daughter as a reason for me to stay quiet. I unlocked my phone and enlarged the photograph I had taken. The broken seal was clear. So was the torn corner of the older label beneath the foil. Most of the printing had been covered, but a flight number remained visible. AA319. I checked the information screen mounted above the aisle. We were on Flight 806. "That tray was loaded for Flight 319, I said. "Was that the inbound aircraft?" Vanessa looked at the photograph for less than a second. "You don't understand how catering labels work." "Then explain it." "Suppliers reuse inventory codes. That says flight, not inventory." Her eyes moved briefly toward Mia, then back to me. The tray was sealed and untouched. There was no safety issue. The seal had already been opened. It may have loosened during handling. And the missing allergy label. "You were informed that the meal was safe." "By whom?" "By me." I let the silence sit between us. Vanessa had been given several chances to correct the problem. She could have apologized for the mix-up. She could have admitted that my assigned meal had been given to another passenger. She could have offered a sealed replacement and documented the old tray. Instead, every answer required me to ignore something I could see with my own eyes. "I need 3 things," I said. "A sealed meal that matches the allergy information on our reservation confirmation that the original tray won't be discarded, and a food safety report number." Her posture changed slightly. "We do not generate formal safety reports every time a passenger dislikes a meal. This isn't about whether I liked it. You refused the option available." "I refused food from a previous flight with a broken seal and no allergy label." Her voice dropped. "Your daughter has her meal. You're not at risk. That isn't your decision to make." For the first time, the smile vanished completely. She stepped closer, picked up Mia's unopened tray and pointed at the sesame-free sticker. "This is the only documented allergy meal for your row. There were 2. There is 1. The second one is sitting in row 2 with my name on it." That stopped her, only for a moment. Then she turned toward the front of the cabin where Graham's assistant had already eaten several bites of the meal assigned to seat 4A. When she looked back at me, her expression had hardened. "I'll see what else is available." Before walking away, she reached into her apron. Between 2 fingers was the torn label from my original tray, the one she had removed before taking it behind the curtain. She folded it once, then again. "Please don't destroy that," I said. Vanessa glanced down as if she had forgotten she was holding it. This is airline property. She slipped it into the small waist pouch attached to her service cart. Then she pushed the cart toward the galley. I looked at the photograph on my phone again. She had taken the tray. She had taken the label. But she had been too late. The old flight number, the broken seal, and the edge of my name card were all still visible in the image. And 3 rows ahead, my untouched allergy-safe meal was still sitting on someone else's table. Monica Hale arrived 9 minutes later carrying a small cardboard snack box. She introduced herself as the lead flight attendant, then placed the box on my tray table, as if that alone might settle the matter. Inside were crackers, an apple, and a packet of cheese. I understand there was a catering mix-up, she said. There was more than a mix-up. Monica remained standing in the aisle, one hand resting lightly against the seat beside me. Vanessa explained that you were offered a reserve meal and chose not to accept it. She served me food from the inbound flight. It was a sealed backup item. The seal was broken. She gave a patient nod that felt rehearsed. Packaging can loosen during handling, and the old flight number catering labels aren't always removed when stock is transferred. It came from a cart marked "Do Not Reserve." That changed her expression. Not much, but enough. Her eyes moved toward the galley curtain before returning to me. I wasn't present for the initial exchange, she said. I can only tell you what was reported. I turned my phone toward her and showed her the photograph. The torn seal was visible. So was the label from Flight 319. Monica studied it longer than Vanessa had. Then she straightened. The item has already been discarded. I specifically asked Vanessa to preserve it. She removed it according to procedure. If there was nothing wrong with it, why did it need to be discarded? Monica did not answer immediately. Mia had opened her science folder, but she was not reading. Her eyes stayed fixed on one page. I knew what she was doing, pretending not to listen. It was the same thing she had done during difficult phone calls after Rachel died. She would lower her head over homework and make herself small as though taking up less space might keep the room calm. I wanted to end the conversation. We were going to Boston for her, not for a meal complaint. She needed rest. She needed to review her presentation. She did not need to spend the next 5 hours watching adults argue over a tray of cold food. Monica pushed the snack box slightly closer. This is the best replacement available. I understand that. Then I hope we can consider the matter resolved. I can consider the meal issue unresolved, but finished for now, I said. The safety issue still needs to be documented. There was no confirmed safety violation. A meal from another flight was served after its seal had been broken. That is your interpretation. No, that is what your employee told me. Monica's professional calm cooled. Mr. Whitaker, the crew has responsibilities beyond one passenger's meal preference, and I'm asking you to perform one of those responsibilities. What exactly do you want? A report number, confirmation that the tray's origin will be checked, and a note that my assigned allergy-safe meal was given to another passenger. Her eyes narrowed slightly at the last point. Are you claiming another passenger received unsafe food? No. I'm saying the airline reassigned a meal carrying my seat number without telling me, then replaced it with an unverified leftover. Monica glanced toward row 2. Graham's assistant had finished eating. The name card was no longer visible. We will make an internal note, she said. What is the reference number? Passengers are not issued internal reference numbers during flight. Then give me the incident category. There is no incident category because there is nothing here that requires a formal report. The words were calm, final, designed to make the problem disappear by refusing to name it. I looked at the snack box. I could stop now. Eat the crackers, help Mia rehearse and file a complaint after landing that would probably receive an apology in a few thousand miles. That would be easier. Mia closed her folder. You always tell me telling the truth isn't causing trouble, she said softly. Monica looked at her. So did I. Mia's face was nervous, but she did not look away. I opened the Notes app on my phone. 10:43, I said as I typed. Lead attendant declined to create a food safety report. Monica's lips pressed together. You are free to contact customer relations after landing. I will. She turned and walked toward the galley. A younger attendant stepped aside to let her pass. His name tag read Noah Ellis. He waited until Monica disappeared behind the curtain. Then he leaned down as though collecting the empty glass from my armrest. Keep the photo, he whispered. His hand shook slightly as he lifted the glass. Don't let anyone delete it. Noah moved away before I could respond. He carried the empty glass toward the galley without looking back. For the first time since the meal service began, I understood that someone inside the crew knew Vanessa's version of events was incomplete. That did not make me feel safer. It made me wonder what else they were already saying about me. The answer came 10 minutes later. Vanessa returned with Monica beside her. This time they did not bring food. Monica stopped in the aisle while Vanessa stood half a step behind, her arms folded loosely at her waist. "Mr. Whitaker," Monica said, "we need to address your continued recording of the crew." "I haven't recorded the crew. You photographed Vanessa without her consent." "I photographed the meal she served me." Vanessa tilted her head. "You had your phone pointed directly at me. The photograph shows the tray, the broken seal, and the label. You've also been taking notes about employees. That isn't prohibited." A few passengers nearby had begun listening openly now. I could feel their attention moving toward our row. Monica lowered her voice, but not enough to make the conversation private. "Your behavior is making the crew uncomfortable." "My behavior has consisted of asking for a report and documenting the answers." Vanessa gave a short breath through her nose. "You've refused a replacement meal, accused us of endangering your daughter, and involved other passengers." "I haven't accused you of endangering her. I said the meal you served me had no allergy information. Your daughter's meal was safe." "That doesn't make yours acceptable," Ruth Alvarez said from across the aisle. Vanessa turned toward her. "Ma'am, this matter does not involve you." Ruth folded her hands over the book in her lap. "I've been sitting here the entire time." He hasn't raised his voice once. "Please do not interfere with crew instructions." "I haven't heard an instruction," Ruth replied. "Only accusations." Monica stepped slightly between us. "That's enough. We are trying to keep the cabin calm." It was a strange thing to say in a cabin that had been calm until they returned to my seat. Vanessa looked at Mia. She shouldn't have to sit through this. Mia's shoulders tightened. Vanessa continued speaking to me, but keeping her eyes on my daughter. "You're turning a minor service issue into a confrontation in front of a child." The anger came quickly then. Not because of the food, because she had used Mia once to make me stay quiet, and now she was using her again to make me look unstable. I felt the words rise in my throat. For 1 second, I wanted to tell Vanessa exactly what I thought of her. Instead, I placed both hands flat on the tray table. "My daughter is watching 2 employees repeatedly return to our seats and misrepresent what happened." Monica's face hardened. "No one is misrepresenting anything. Then please explain what you told the captain." Neither woman answered. That was answer enough. I looked from Monica to Vanessa. "Has the crew described me as disruptive?" Monica paused. "We have reported that the situation is escalating." "Who is escalating it?" Vanessa stepped forward. "You are refusing to let it go. I stopped asking questions until you came back." A man behind us shifted in his seat. Someone farther forward lowered a newspaper. The whole cabin could now see the difference between the story Vanessa was telling and the man sitting quietly with his hands on the table. Monica glanced around and seemed to notice it too. She lowered her voice further. "If this continues, airport security may need to meet the aircraft." Mia turned to me. Her face had gone pale. "Dad." I looked at Monica. "Are you threatening to have me detained for filing a food safety complaint? I'm informing you of the possible consequences of disruptive conduct." "What conduct?" "You are challenging crew authority. I am asking you to preserve evidence and write an accurate report." Vanessa shook her head. "Don't make your daughter watch this get worse." For a moment, I almost gave in. Mia's competition began at 9 the next morning. If security delayed us, we could miss the hotel check-in, her rehearsal, maybe even registration. One bad report from a flight crew could follow me long after this plane landed. I turned toward her. "We can stop," I said quietly. "I can handle it after Boston." Mia looked down at her hands. Then she reached for her phone. "I think I recorded something." She explained that she had been making a short video of the cabin after takeoff for her school presentation. She wanted to include a few seconds from the trip before showing her project. She opened the clip. The video was shaky and only 11 seconds long. At first it showed the window, Mia's science folder, and the edge of my shoulder. Then the camera drifted toward the galley. At the 6th second, Vanessa appeared behind the partially open curtain. She looked over her shoulder, opened the red cart marked "Do Not Reserve," and pulled my tray from inside. I watched the video 3 times before saying anything. The first time I saw Vanessa open the red cart. The second time, I noticed the white warning label across its front. The third time, I saw what happened behind her. Noah was standing beside the galley counter with two hot trays. One of them carried a white meal card. The image blurred when Mia's phone shifted, but the final frame held long enough for me to enlarge it. For a Whitaker. The video had captured both parts of the exchange. My assigned meal being moved forward, the leftover tray being taken from the cart. Mia looked from the screen to me. Did I do something wrong? No. I kept my voice steady. You did exactly what you were doing before any of this started. You recorded our trip. Across the aisle, Ruth leaned closer without leaving her seat. Make copies, she said. I nodded. Mia's phone was connected to the aircraft Wi-Fi, but the signal was slow. I transferred the video to my phone first, then attached it to an email addressed to myself. The progress bar stopped twice before finally moving. While it uploaded, I took screenshots of the clearest frames. Vanessa's hand on the red cart, the warning label, the old meal tray, my name card on the hot meal behind her. Then I saved the original file to cloud storage. I did not want the only copy sitting on a child's phone if the crew decided to demand the device. Ruth opened the notes application on her own phone. My name is Ruth Alvarez, she said. Seat 4, C. I'm willing to confirm what I heard. You don't have to get involved. I already am. They told me I didn't see what I saw. She gave me her email address and phone number. I spent 32 years as a school principal. I know the difference between a disruptive adult and an adult being pressured into silence. Mia glanced toward the galley. Should we show them the video? Not yet, I said. I wanted the file outside the aircraft first. More importantly, I wanted to see what the crew put in writing before they knew the full evidence existed. I opened Aurelia Air's website and found the section for onboard safety concerns. The form asked for the flight number, route, seat, crew member's name, and a description of the incident. I kept the description short. At approximately 10:29 a.m., a crew member served a meal removed from a cart marked, "Do not reserve." The tray carried a prior flight label, had a broken seal, and did not contain the allergy information associated with my reservation. My assigned meal was delivered to another passenger. Requests to preserve the original tray and create a formal safety report were declined. I attached the photograph and video. Before pressing submit, I showed the text to Ruth. Fax only, she said. Good. I sent it. An automated message appeared immediately. Thank you for contacting Aurelia Air. A representative will respond within 5 business days. 5 business days. By then, the tray would be gone, the crew report would be complete, and every detail could be rewritten as a misunderstanding. I took a screenshot of the confirmation number anyway. 2 rows ahead, Graham Voss had turned around in his seat. Did you say the meal had your name on it, he asked. Yes. He looked at the younger man beside him, then at the empty tray on the table. Graham lifted the folded napkin. Underneath it was a white card stained with a spot of sauce. He picked it up and read it. Seat 4A, he said. His assistant looked embarrassed. I didn't know. I know, I said. This isn't your fault. Graham stared toward the galley. Vanessa told me she had found an extra allergen-safe meal for my assistant. Did she say where it came from? She said a passenger using an upgrade had not confirmed his preference. Ruth looked at me. There it was. Not a catering accident. A decision. Vanessa had taken the fresh meal from the passenger she believed mattered less and replaced it with something meant to be discarded. My phone vibrated. I expected another automated response. Instead, the email came from a named employee in Aurelia Air's Flight Safety Operations Department. I opened it. Mr. Whitaker, your evidence has been reviewed and escalated. Please retain the original files and do not surrender or delete them. Our operations team is contacting the aircraft. Below that was a direct case number. I read the message twice. Then the seatbelt sign flashed on, even though the air around us was perfectly smooth. Behind the galley curtain, a phone began to ring. The phone behind the galley curtain stopped ringing after 3 short bursts. A moment later, the curtain opened. Vanessa stepped out first. Whatever she had heard on that call had changed her. Her posture was still straight, and her expression still carried the same practiced calm, but the ease was gone. Monica followed with a tablet pressed against her chest. They did not come directly to me. Instead, they stopped Noah near the galley entrance. I could not hear every word, but I heard Vanessa say, "You were present." Noah looked down at the tablet. I didn't hear him say that. "You saw the situation. I saw parts of it." Monica moved closer. "We need the crew account completed before descent." Noah's eyes flicked toward my row. Vanessa followed his gaze and saw me watching. The conversation ended immediately. 10 minutes later, Monica returned carrying a printed form on a clipboard. "We've prepared a service resolution acknowledgement," she said. "It simply confirms that you were offered an alternative meal and informed of the available options." She placed the clipboard on my tray table and handed me a pen. I read the first paragraph. It stated that I had raised a concern about meal quality. It said the original item had been removed and that a snack box had been provided. Those parts were incomplete but not entirely false. Then I reached the final section. Passenger declined the replacement and continued disruptive conduct after resolution was offered, including unauthorized recording of crew and repeated challenges to safety instructions. I put the pen down. "I'm not signing this." Monica kept her voice measured. "It's only an acknowledgement. It describes conduct that didn't happen. It reflects the crew's experience. No. It changes a food safety complaint into a disciplinary incident." Vanessa had moved into the aisle behind her. "You refused the replacement," she said. "I accepted the snack box. I said it wasn't equivalent to the meal assigned to my seat." "You continued recording. I photographed the food and preserved evidence after your supervisor refused to document it." Monica pointed toward the bottom of the page. "You can add a written comment before signing. Signing would confirm that this report accurately describes the incident. It confirms receipt. The language does not say that." Mia leaned closer to me, reading the form upside down. Vanessa noticed. "This is exactly what we were trying to avoid," she said. "Your daughter should not be involved in an official crew matter. You involved her when you used her to pressure me into staying quiet." Vanessa's face tightened. Monica pulled the clipboard back slightly. "Mr. Whitaker refusing to cooperate may require airport security to resolve the matter after landing." Mia looked at me. "Are they going to arrest you?" "No," I said, though I could not guarantee it. Then I looked at Monica. "Please write that I cooperated with every safety instruction, remained seated, and never raised my voice. We're not revising the report in the aisle." "Then I'm not signing it in the aisle." Vanessa took the clipboard from Monica. "You threatened my job. I said I would file a complaint. You said there would be consequences." "I never used those words." Ruth spoke from across the aisle. "He didn't." Graham turned around from row 2. "Neither did I hear him threaten anyone." Vanessa looked toward both of them. "This is a crew matter." "No," Graham said. "It became a passenger matter when you gave my assistant someone else's meal." For the first time, Vanessa had no immediate answer. A chime sounded from the cockpit. A few seconds later, Captain Grant Holloway entered the cabin. He was in his mid-50s with silver at his temples, and the controlled expression of someone who had already been given 2 incompatible versions of the same event. He stopped at my row. "Mr. Whitaker, I understand there's a disagreement about the crew report. There's a false statement in it." Monica handed him the form. The captain read the final paragraph, then looked at me. "Did you record any crew members?" "My daughter accidentally captured an 11-second video before the dispute began. It shows the meal being removed from a cart marked "Do Not Reserve." I submitted it to Flight Safety Operations. That was the first time Vanessa learned exactly what the video contained. The color left her face. Captain Holloway looked at Monica. "Was the cart preserved?" Monica hesitated. "It's still in the galley, and the catering manifest on the service tablet." The captain handed the form back without asking me to sign. "Nothing gets discarded or edited from this point forward." Vanessa started to speak. He raised one hand. "That includes the crew report." Then he turned to me. "Remain seated after we reach the gate. Security and operations will be meeting the aircraft." He walked back toward the cockpit. Mia stared at the closed door. Then she looked at me. "Dad!" she whispered. "Are they coming for us?" "I don't know," I told Mia. It was the only honest answer I had. The aircraft had begun its descent into Boston, and the cabin lights had been raised. Around us, passengers closed laptops, returned seats upright, and gathered the small things they had spread across their tables. Everything looked normal. That made the fear worse. Vanessa remained near the front galley. She no longer moved through the cabin unless Monica asked her to do something. Even then, her movements were clipped and controlled. Monica came to our row once more. "Please remain in your seats after landing," she said. "We already agreed to do that. This is a formal instruction. I understand. She looked at Mia's phone resting on the armrest. The original video must remain available for review. It will, and you should avoid sending it anywhere else until operations has spoken with you. I already sent it to Flight Safety Operations. I mean social media. I haven't posted anything publicly. Monica seemed almost disappointed that she could not accuse me of doing so. We need everyone to cooperate, she said. So do I. She walked away. Mia leaned closer. What happens if security believes them? I looked at her science folder. A corner of her presentation board was visible through the zipper. Registration for the competition closed at 8:30 that evening. Her rehearsal was scheduled at 7 the next morning. We had planned every hour carefully because that was what single parents learned to do. There was no second adult waiting in Boston to handle the hotel while I spoke with airport police. No one else to take Mia to registration. No one to step in if the airline decided I was the problem. We stay calm, I said. We answer exactly what they ask. We don't guess. We don't exaggerate. Like my science presentation. Exactly like your science presentation. Across the aisle, Ruth gave Mia a reassuring smile. They'll have more than one account, she said. Your father isn't alone. Graham turned slightly from the row ahead. Neither are you, he added. Vanessa heard him. She looked toward us, then disappeared behind the galley curtain. For the next 15 minutes, nothing happened. Then the cockpit chime sounded twice. Monica entered the galley. The curtain did not close completely, leaving a narrow gap. I saw Captain Holloway hand her a printed message. She read it once. Then again. Her face changed. Vanessa moved closer and tried to look at the page. Monica folded it before she could. What does it say? Vanessa asked. Monica lowered her voice, but the engines had quieted enough during descent that several words reached us. Flight Safety pulled the catering scan. Vanessa stopped moving. Monica continued speaking, though I could not hear the next sentence. Then Vanessa said clearly, it was a manual reassignment. Monica shook her head. It was scanned to 2C. The hot meal assigned to my seat had not simply been carried forward by mistake. The digital system had recorded it being reassigned to Graham's assistant. Vanessa said something too quietly to hear. Monica answered. The inbound tray was never cleared as destroyed. That was the second record. One fresh allergy-safe meal moved away from my seat. One leftover meal missing from the disposal log. The video connected them. No one needed to rely only on my version anymore. A few minutes later, Noah came through the cabin collecting glasses before landing. He avoided looking at Vanessa. When he reached my row, he took the unopened snack box from the tray table. Sorry, he said. It could have referred to the box. It did not. As he straightened, I noticed a folded sheet of paper tucked beneath the service towel on his cart. The top line showed the heading of the crew incident report. There was no signature at the bottom. Vanessa called his name from the galley. Noah pushed the cart forward. He did not answer her. The aircraft dropped through a layer of cloud. Boston appeared beneath us in fragments. Roads, rooftops, dark water, then the bright lines of the airport. The landing gear lowered. Mia reached for my hand. I held it while the wheels struck the runway. The cabin filled with the roar of reverse thrust. Once we slowed, several phones turned on at once. A soft chorus of alerts moved through first class. Vanessa checked the device in her hand. Whatever she read made her grip the counter. The aircraft reached the gate, but the seatbelt sign remained illuminated. No one stood. Captain Holloway came over the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated while ground personnel board the aircraft. The forward door opened. 2 airport security officers stepped inside, followed by 3 people wearing Aurelia Air identification badges. The woman in front carried a tablet and wore no expression I could read. Mia squeezed my hand harder. They began walking down the aisle. Toward us. Vanessa watched from the galley with her arms folded. The lead security officer reached row 4. He looked at me. Then he kept walking. All 5 of them passed our seats and stopped in front of Vanessa. The woman with the tablet turned the screen toward her. Vanessa Pike, she said, step away from the service area and surrender your crew device. For the first time since the tray had been placed in front of me, Vanessa had nothing prepared to say. Vanessa stared at the woman with the tablet. I'm still assigned to this aircraft. Not anymore, the woman said. Step away from the galley. One of the security officers moved beside the service cart, not touching Vanessa, but making it clear the instruction was not optional. Slowly, she removed the crew device from her apron and handed it over. Monica stood near the cockpit door, pale and silent. The woman introduced herself as Elena Park, Aurelia Air's Regional Operations Manager. She asked the remaining passengers to deplane normally except for those seated in rows 2 and 4. No one complained. As the cabin emptied, people looked toward us with open curiosity. Some glanced at Vanessa. Others looked at Mia and me as though trying to decide which version of the story they had just witnessed. Ruth remained in her seat across the aisle. Graham and his assistant stayed in row 2. Noah stood beside the galley holding the folded crew report. Elena approached me after most of the cabin had cleared. "Mr. Whitaker, you and your daughter are not being detained," she said. "We need to verify the evidence you submitted and take a statement. You may leave afterward." Mia released a breath she had been holding since the door opened. "Will this take long?" I asked. "Her competition registration closes tonight. We'll keep it as brief as the situation allows." That was not a promise, but it was honest. We were moved into a small gate-side conference room. Mia sat beside me with her science folder against her chest while Elena placed my photograph and the catering data on a monitor. She asked me to begin from the moment meal service started. I told the story without describing Vanessa's personality or guessing at her motives. My meal had been delivered to seat 2C. A tray from Flight 319 had been removed from the return cart. Its seal was broken. Its allergy information was missing. Vanessa admitted it had come from the inbound flight. She removed the label after I questioned her. Monica declined to make a formal report. Then the crew prepared a statement describing me as disruptive. Elena took notes without interrupting. When I finished, she turned to Mia. "You are not in trouble," she said. "I only need to confirm when you recorded the video." Before Dad said anything, Mia answered. "I was filming the cabin for my project." She opened the original file. The metadata showed the video had been created at 10:27 a.m., 2 minutes before the tray was placed in front of me. Elena watched the clip twice. Then she asked Mia to email the original file directly from her phone. Ruth was interviewed next. She confirmed that I had never raised my voice, blocked the aisle, refused a safety instruction, or threatened anyone's job. Graham entered after her, carrying the stained meal card from seat 4A. Vanessa told me the passenger assigned this meal had been upgraded with points and had not confirmed his preference. He said. That was false. His assistant confirmed the meal had already been on his table before I complained. Noah came in last. He placed the folded report in front of Elena. "I was told to sign this," he said. At the bottom, the witness line was blank. Elena read the report slowly. It claimed I had filmed crew members after being ordered to stop. It said I threatened professional retaliation. It also stated that the disputed meal had been a properly sealed reserve item from the current flight. All three claims were contradicted by the evidence. "Who wrote this?" Elena asked. "Vanessa dictated most of it," Noah said. "Monica entered it into the system." "And why didn't you sign?" Noah looked down at his hands. "Because I didn't hear him threaten anyone." He unlocked his phone and showed Elena 2 messages from Vanessa. "You were there. Confirm aggressive language." Then 3 minutes later, probationary crew members are expected to support the lead account. Elena photographed the messages. Vanessa was brought into the room separately. She began by insisting the tray had never been served to another passenger. When Elena showed her the video, she said the cart label was misleading. When shown the catering scan, she called it a manual reassignment error. Then Elena displayed the report. "Did you remove the original flight label?" Vanessa hesitated. "I was cleaning the presentation." "Did you tell Mr. Whitaker the food came from the inbound flight? I may have used the wrong wording." "Did you ask Mr. Ellis to confirm aggressive language he did not hear?" "I asked him to support the crew's account." Elena closed the report. Then she opened another file on her tablet. "This is not your first incident involving an altered service record." Vanessa's face changed. Not confusion. Recognition. And in that moment I understood that the tray in front of me had not created her problem. It had uncovered one that was already waiting. Elena asked Mia and me to wait in the conference room while she stepped outside with Vanessa. Through the glass panel in the door I could see people moving between the gate and the aircraft. Monica sat alone near the boarding desk, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Noah stood several feet away speaking with another operations employee. Vanessa remained standing. Even from a distance, she looked composed. But it was no longer the composure of someone controlling the situation. It was the stillness of someone waiting to learn how much had already been uncovered. Mia leaned against my shoulder. Is she getting fired? I don't know. Would it be because of us? No. I wanted her to understand that clearly. We told the truth. What happens next depends on what she did, not on what we said. Elena returned about 10 minutes later with a member of Aurelia Air's employee relations department on a secure video call. She asked whether I was willing to remain while the airline completed its preliminary determination. I said yes. Vanessa was brought back into the room. She sat across from the monitor while Elena remained beside the table. Monica was not present. The employee relations representative introduced herself, confirmed Vanessa's identity, and stated that the conversation concerned a possible breach of food safety policy, falsification of company records, and retaliation against another crew member. Vanessa immediately objected. There was no retaliation. Elena placed Noah's phone messages on the monitor. Confirm aggressive language. Probationary crew members are expected to support the lead account. Vanessa looked away. I was reminding him of his responsibilities. His responsibility was to provide an accurate witness statement, Elena said. The representative asked Vanessa whether she had removed the old flight label from the tray. Vanessa admitted that she had. Whether she had served a tray removed from the inbound return cart. She said the item appeared untouched. Whether she had verified its temperature history, seal integrity, or allergen status. She had not. Whether she knew Aaron's assigned meal had been moved to seat 2C. Vanessa said she had been trying to accommodate a high-value customer. That phrase hung in the room. High-value customer. As though the value of one passenger could be calculated by membership status while another could be handed something meant for disposal. Elena opened Vanessa's personnel file. 6 months earlier, Vanessa had received a final written warning after changing the time and wording of a service incident report. In that case, she had stated that a passenger accepted compensation and considered the matter resolved. The passenger had accepted nothing. The warning required Vanessa to complete documentation training and stated that any further intentional alteration of a service record could result in immediate termination. Vanessa leaned forward. That incident was different. The record was changed to protect the crew's account, Elena said. That is exactly what happened today. This was a meal issue. It became a records issue when you wrote statements contradicted by video system data and 4 witnesses. Vanessa looked toward me. You pushed this until it became something bigger. I held her gaze. I asked for the original tray to be preserved and the incident to be recorded accurately. You knew what would happen. No. You knew what had already happened before I ever asked. For the first time, she had no answer. The employee relations representative spoke again. Aurelia Air had confirmed enough evidence to make an immediate employment decision. The finding was not based on a single service error. It was based on the combined actions that followed. Serving food removed from a disposal-designated cart. Removing identifying information from the tray. Reassigning an allergen-safe meal based on passenger status. Submitting an inaccurate incident report. And pressuring a junior employee to support claims he had not witnessed. Vanessa's employment was terminated effective immediately. Her system access would be disabled. Her crew identification and company equipment had to be surrendered before she left the gate area. Vanessa stared at the dark screen after the call ended. 12 years of employment had just been reduced to a few formal sentences. I did not feel victorious. I thought about the way she had spoken to me before any complaint existed. The certainty with which she had decided I would accept less. The number of opportunities she had been given to tell the truth before the situation reached this room. I didn't need anyone to lose their livelihood over a meal, I said. Elena closed Vanessa's file. This decision wasn't made because you disliked your meal. She glanced at the false report. It was made because she repeatedly chose to hide what she did. Vanessa stood without looking at me. An operations employee escorted her out. Monica was placed on administrative suspension pending a separate investigation. Noah would remain employed and be interviewed again after the flight records were secured. I thought the matter had reached its end. Then Elena turned the catering manifest toward me. There's something else you should know, she said. The tray served to you may not have been the first one. On the screen was a list of meals that should have been destroyed after earlier flights. 17 entries had no final disposal scan. The 17 entries did not prove that 17 passengers had been served leftover food. Elena made that clear immediately. Some trays might have been discarded without the final barcode scan. Others could have been transferred to catering storage and recorded incorrectly. The audit would have to separate poor documentation from actual safety violations, but the pattern was too consistent to dismiss. Every missing disposal scan came from an inbound first-class service. Most occurred on flights where Vanessa had worked the return segment, and 6 of those flights showed something else. A passenger upgraded with miles had lost an assigned meal shortly before service, while a high-status traveler or late-added companion received one without a reservation. This may be a much larger process failure, Elena said. We won't know until catering reviews the physical inventory and the crew records. I looked at the manifest. Vanessa had not invented the weakness in the system. She had simply learned how to use it. The return carts were supposed to be sealed after every arriving flight. Leftover perishable meals were meant to be scanned, removed by catering, and destroyed. But if a tray missed the final scan, the system did not automatically alert the next crew. That gap left room for judgment. Vanessa's judgment had been based on who she believed mattered most. Elena offered a full refund for both tickets, reimbursement for our ground transportation, and replacement travel credits. We can also provide additional miles as a service recovery, she said. I'll accept the refund, I replied. But I won't sign anything that prevents me from speaking honestly about what happened. We're not asking you to. That answer mattered more than the miles. By the time we left the operations room, registration for Mia's competition was closing in 40 minutes. Aurelia Air arranged a car to take us directly to the convention center. Mia changed part of her outfit in the back seat using her science folder as a mirror while I called the hotel and explained that we would arrive late. We reached the registration desk with 8 minutes remaining. Mia handed over her forms, received her badge, and stood beneath the bright convention center lights looking smaller than she had on the plane. You still want to do this? I asked. She nodded, but not confidently. What if I forget part of my presentation? Then you pause and look at your notes. What if the judges don't like it? Then you explain exactly what you built and why. What if I say something wrong? I thought about the report Vanessa had wanted me to sign. Don't try to give them the answer you think they want, I said. Tell them what actually happened in your experiment. Mia smiled faintly. Facts only. Facts only. The next morning, she stood beside her filtration model and answered questions for 12 minutes without looking at me once. She did not win first place. Instead, the judges awarded her a special recognition for practical community application. When her name was announced, she looked genuinely surprised. It was better than the perfect ending I might have imagined for her. She had not needed the highest prize to prove the trip mattered. That evening, an email arrived from Noah Ellis. It contained only 3 sentences. I should have spoken sooner. I was afraid that disagreeing with a senior crew member would end my career. Thank you for giving me enough time to make the right choice. I replied that the right choice had been his. Over the following weeks, Aurelia Air's audit confirmed that several of the 17 trays had simply been logged incorrectly, but 5 had been removed from return carts and placed back into active service. 3 were linked directly to meal reassignments involving passengers traveling on upgrades or reward tickets. The airline terminated 1 catering supervisor's contract, disciplined 2 additional employees, and expanded the review beyond Vanessa's flights. 2 months later, Elena sent me one final message. Aurelia Air had approved a new food handling and incident reporting policy across its domestic premium cabins. The change would begin the following Monday, all because of a tray Vanessa believed no one could trace. 3 months later, Mia and I boarded another Aurelia Air flight. This time we were flying home from a weekend science workshop in Chicago. Mia had been invited to demonstrate the filtration model she had presented in Boston, along with the improvements she had made since the competition. We were using miles again. For a while I had considered avoiding Aurelia Air completely. But avoiding the airline would not change what had happened, and the miles represented years of trips I had taken for work while Rachel stayed home with Mia. They belonged to our family. I was not going to let Vanessa take that from us too. Our seats were in the first-class cabin, 1 row behind where we had sat before. The aircraft was different, but the soft lighting, wide seats, and quiet movement of the crew brought back details I had not expected to remember. The sound of foil touching metal. The galley curtain closing. Mia asking whether security was coming for us. She noticed me looking toward the service carts. You okay? She asked. I'm fine. She studied my face in the direct way children do when they already know the answer is more complicated. You're checking everything. Occupational habit. You don't work for an airline. No, but I'm very good at checking things. That made her smile. Before takeoff, a flight attendant named Daniel stopped beside our row. He confirmed our names, then checked the meal information on his tablet. I have 2 sesame-free chicken meals for the Whitakers, he said. Is that correct? Yes. He looked directly at Mia. And I see the allergy notice. I'll keep both trays separate during service. There was nothing dramatic in the way he said it. No special attention. No suggestion that he knew who we were. He was simply doing his job correctly. After takeoff, the meal carts came through the cabin. Every tray had a printed card showing the current flight number, seat assignment, preparation time, and allergen status. Daniel placed mine down first. Seat 3A, sesame-free. Then Mia's. Seat 3B, sesame-free. Both trays were warm. Both seals were intact. On the side of each container was a small barcode beside the words "Verified for current flight service." The new procedures Aurelia Air had announced were ordinary on paper. Unused meals from inbound aircraft now had to be scanned into locked disposal carts before the next crew boarded. Any meal reassignment required a reason and the approval of the lead attendant. Food safety complaints received their own category and could not be entered as passenger misconduct unless separate disruptive behavior had actually occurred. Crew members could submit independent reports without showing them to senior colleagues first. Noah had written to me once more after completing his interview. He had been transferred to another crew and later approved for permanent first-class service. Monica returned me once more after completing his interview after 6 weeks of suspension. She lost her lead position and was required to repeat safety and documentation training. Vanessa appealed her termination. The decision was upheld. The review concluded that she had not made one careless mistake. She had repeatedly chosen which passengers deserved the service they had been promised and then altered records whenever the truth threatened her position. I never heard from her. I did not need to. Mia ran one finger along the edge of her tray's seal. This one hasn't been opened. No. And it has my name. It does. She pointed toward my phone, which was lying beside my glass. Aren't you going to take a picture? 3 months earlier, I had photographed a meal because I was afraid someone would deny what I could plainly see. Now I checked the label once. Current flight, correct seat, clear allergy warning, unbroken seal. Then I placed the phone in my pocket. Not this time. Mia opened her meal and steam rose into the cabin light. Outside the window, the clouds stretched beneath us in a white, unbroken layer. Mia began telling me about a new filter material she wanted to test when we got home. I listened while cutting into food that was hot, correctly labeled, and exactly what we had ordered. The meal was ordinary. The respect was ordinary, too. And that was exactly how it should have been.